Hey, what's going on, everybody? Hope you're having a great day. We are back in the shop today. It is a Tuesday. Been a bit under the weather, but trying to grind it out. Yesterday was a bit of a slower day here, so finally getting back to things today. We are doing a custom 72-inch white oak Vanity, and yeah, I'll show you plans here. I'll pop that SketchUp model up right now so you can get an idea of what we're trying to tackle here. This will be inset, standard cabinet height.
So like any other project, we always start by milling our lumber. We had a few 4/4 white oak boards and one 8/4 white oak board that we use for the feet. We go through the regular milling process, jointing a face and edge, and then going to the table saw, cutting them to rough width, and then taking them to the planer where we plane them to the thickness that we need. For 4/4 boards, we planed everything to 3/4 of an inch, and for the 8/4, we went to 1.5 inches.
One of the worst jobs in all of woodworking. Besides, it's up there with sanding. I think sanding's almost better than this. This is probably the worst task. Changing bags.
This was my first time processing hardwood through the sliding table saw. Up until this point, I've just done sheet goods. We've mainly been doing cabinet projects that don't have any hardwood, so this is the first project where we got to test it, and this was honestly the area of concern for me when purchasing a slider. I didn't know how efficient or comfortable I would be processing hardwood, since you're kind of reaching over the slider, but I was pleasantly surprised. With the proper blade in, it processed this wood very easily, and being on the side actually makes it safer in any way. So next, we started with the face frame, building the cabinet around the face frame as opposed to the cabinet first. I think in this situation, the face frame has a lot of small details, and it's just easier to build the face frame first and then build a cabinet inside of that. And typical face frame joinery, just using pocket holes with number 7 fine thread screws instead of coarse. Fine thread screws help eliminate the wood movement. After completing the front of the face frame, I moved on to doing the legs with the stretchers in between that, and connected the whole face frame and the sides together. From here, we can move on to filling everything in with plywood. I used 2 full sheets of 3/4 inch white oak plywood. This isn't any special type of cut. This was all just standard cut. It wasn't rift sawn or quarter sawn. That stuff is incredibly expensive. Having said that, these plywood sheets were still in the $130 to $140 range per piece. Using the felder to cut them down. I've had some experience now with this machine. I've probably put close to 50 to 75 sheets through this thing, and it's been a beast. It makes processing sheet goods very efficient once you get the handle of it in a good flow. They're referred to as panel saws, and they definitely are more dedicated to that machine. And just like in that same aspect, I've gone recently from SketchUp to Mosaic, and it's kind of the same crossover. SketchUp in itself is a great software to use, and as a woodworker creating furniture, one-off pieces, it was great at its job, and it could do cabinets as well. But since I've maybe made more of a focus to cabinetry, Mosaic is such a dedicated software that it just makes that whole process 10 times easier. So that's kind of how I see the transition from a regular table saw to the panel saw. From there, we start filling in the box, or within the face frame. We do we filled in the sides first, and that's why we went with 1.5 inch legs. We have 3/4 inch stretchers, and then the plywood was exactly 3/4 of an inch, which we fill in on the sides, and then we're able to add our back panel, our bottom, and then 2 top stretchers. And then after that, we go to putting in our dividers within the cabinet. For the 2 center drawers, and then the drawers on the corners, and then for the doors. I flush these first panels with the drawer, with the smaller drawers on the corners. That way it was easier to implement the slides. Didn't have to create a bump out or fill the space. And then same thing for the middle drawer. We made it flush with the inside of the face frame. That way there's no anything interfering with the center drawers. We'll just have to put some filler pieces in for the hinges. Since we are not going to be using face frame hinges, we actually used inset hinges here. Applying these stretchers for the bottom shelf back to pocket holes. I initially set this up just with glue and allowed it to cure. And once it was fully cured overnight, then I came back with 2-inch pocket hole screws from the inside. I'm sure the glue would have held just fine. Once that was all set, we were ready for the shelf. Dropped the shelf in, and again secured that from underneath with some more pocket holes.
So we're going to move on to cutting the drawer boxes this morning. We are using 5/8 pre-finished birch plywood.
We've gone through multiple iterations of how we build drawer boxes. Ultimately, I've come to building them this way for some time. It's easy, makes a good looking drawer box. They're finished. You don't have to spray any material, and yeah, it just makes for an easy application. Using pocket holes to assemble it, it may be the easy way out, but pocket holes aren't visible. Drawers are strong. We do use a 1/4 inch bottom panel, and if the drawer is wider than 30 inches, we'll put a center support on the bottom, and just to add that extra rigidity. And we've never had any issues with our drawer boxes, so I will probably continue to do this. It's cost effective as well. After the box is assembled, I take my oscillating tool and cut the notches in the back for the slides. We're using Vanity, I believe there's 760 heavy duty H, or 760H I think. And then I use the balloon tool to drill the holes for the pins, and then attach the clips underneath.
All right, so I just want to explain a little bit where we're currently at. You've seen some video of the process. So to get the color that the customer wanted for this project, they wanted white oak. They were persistent. They wanted white oak in the straight grain of white oak. The color they wanted was to match their vinyl floor planks that they're putting into their cottage. So I've run into this issue before, or this situation, I should say. I shouldn't call it an issue. It can become an issue. Stay matching is hard. I'm definitely I don't know how to do it, so to me, I just outsource it. I tried doing it my first few projects and quickly learned that I was way in over my head. So now I take all my projects to be stained, that are going to be stain matched, to a mom and pop shop that's about 35 minutes from me, and they stain match everything. So he's been doing it. He's an older gentleman, Phil. He's been doing it for a long time. Has a ton of experience in the doing it in the real world. Anyways, I always take all my projects to them. Before I take deposits of jobs and everything, I make sure that we can agree upon a stain match, so that I know the process and I know what is entailed in the job. Like this one, they wanted white oak, they wanted a certain color. I brought a white oak sample to Phil and immediately looked at it, looked at the plank and said, you have to bleach that. He knows right away that we will never get a color that they wanted without bleaching it. And that's using wiping stain. So there's maybe a different way. Maybe Rubio has something that would get us close. I'm not sure. But he custom matched this. So usually it's an ML Campbell's, but this time he did Lenmar. And I'm actually liking it quite a bit. I've just been using it for the face frame, as you see, or the Vanity itself. Anyway, so I did bleaching. And in the past, I've only done a little bit of bleaching. I had a bleaching kit here from a past job, and I brushed it on. And while brushing it on works, as you brush, it's already leaching the color of the wood out. So you'll start with clean, and then as you go along, you'll leach that out and you'll carry it over and over. So it'll get dirty as you go. So what I've done, I was told to by a person who does stairs and refinishes a lot of stairs in place. If he has to bleach, he sprays in place, and he told me to just spray it. So I tried spraying it, and spraying it with my Mini Mic 4, my Fuji, and it worked great. So I just masked up, suited up, had a good exhaust fan going. This is the surface that we ended up with. So one coat, and I mixed it just over 3-to-1, the bleaching kit that I had, and now it's a bit rough. So I got to re-sand them again with 150 grit before I stain. And then, so this is the side I sprayed first with bleach. It came out crisp, very nice. The color is all good, all bleached out and everything. The back has a bit of orange on it. So I don't know if it leached through the wood, but I didn't do as a heavy coat on this one. So maybe that on the back side, maybe that's why. But while you're sanding, most of this will come out because this is just on the surface. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna sand these doors and then gonna stain them. And then we're gonna mix up some conversion varnish and get them all sprayed.
I purchased this Craig right angle drill attachment some time ago and honestly never really used it or needed to use it until this project. This area on the corner, I honestly, drawing it up, designing it, in the whole process I never even thought about the issue of having to install these drawer slides, and it just wasn't even possible. And having this drill attachment just solved all those issues, so I'm definitely glad I had it.
In this situation, it's totally fine for the drawer to fall down, especially with these tandem drawer slides. We can adjust up, we can't adjust down, right? So if we drop down, that's fine, we can adjust up.
tandems don't allow you to go left and right either, which really sucks, which is why I wanted to use Mementos, especially for an inset application. And then you can do all adjustments. There you go. It's really good. And these doors are book matched, so, or not book matched, but the grain flows through. Because we're using inset hinges, I need them to be mounted flush with this. If you remember, I mounted this outer panel flush with the inside here, and this is 1.5 inches, so I should have 3/4 of an inch left. I sealed these pieces of ply. I edge banded one edge, so there's the finished edge. And that should flush this perfectly. And this is where our plates will get mounted to.
I didn't quite document the building process of the shaker doors. I have covered that aspect before in previous videos, so I didn't want to go through the whole process again. I may make a dedicated video in the future on how I do that specific task. But yeah, that'll conclude this video. I hope you guys enjoyed and learned something from this, and until next time, adios.